Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here to talk with me and Rebecca and hear about this amazing research that's so important about how to use your mothering superpower to be a better leader. Rebecca has done so much research about how all of this proof about how being a parent actually helps us in the workplace. So frequently we hear about how it can be a deficit or how motherhood is stressful, but we're here to tell you that it can actually really help you advance your career. So, thank you, Rebecca, for being here with me. I'm so excited to have you. Rebecca
Thank
is
you.
a career coach helping mothers to transition back into the paid workforce. And that's such a needed type of coach. I don't hear a lot of people doing that. There's lots of coaches for women. I help women specifically advance their careers, but helping women specifically, mothers, get back into the paid workforce, that's so valuable and important. So tell us a little bit about your work, Rebecca.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you so much for letting me come on and share some knowledge. I'm excited to be here. So, yeah, basically, just helping moms really boost their confidence. That's the biggest piece. I think when moms have taken a step out of the paid workforce and take on a full time caregiving role for a chunk of time, stepping back in to exchange labor for pay, as I like to say, it can be intimidating and it's hard to know where to start. The confidence is usually in the pit because women are thinking, my skill set maybe isn't quite as sharp as it should be, or, what are employers looking for, or my professional network is dwindling and or non-existent. And, how do I land something that's going to be meaningful and impactful? And what do I do? So really just kind of walking them through all of those aspects and really, yeah, boosting confidence. I think the lack of confidence is one of the biggest, you know, things that hold women back to really not advance, but like kind of nail their job search. So just, yeah, harnessing all of what makes you uniquely you and then like running for it. And yeah, it's exciting and it's fun and I love it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm so grateful that you were able to do this with me. So, I want to share a story that one of my favorite authors talks about. And her name's Liz Wiseman. She's an executive advisor and author of Multipliers and Rookie Shoes and Impact Players. So she does lots of research about how people can be more effective in the workplace as leaders and as individual contributors. So she is a mother herself of many children, and she tells this story about how she was once walking along the beach with her 3-year-old son, and he was getting really close to the ocean and looking for shells and everything, and clearly didn't understand how the wave was going to impact him, right? Still learning about the world. And she told him like 2 times, hey, don't go too far out, you're going to get knocked down by the waves. 2 times. And after those first 2 times, she stopped doing the warning anymore. And the next time there was a wave in place where there was soft sand and not like hard rocks where he could hit his head, um, she let him get knocked down by the wave. So even with judgmental looks from other parents around her, it was a learning experience for him. And the next time he didn't go too far out and watch for the waves. So I love this analogy because it's a really good way of explaining how we can create environments for people as leaders to learn in safe, low risk environments. So that's just one example of how we parent and how we can apply those same principles to the workplace if we are a formal leader or an informal leader. Even like we recognize that, oh, this person on our team has a great desire to take on this new project or get a promotion, and we recognize also that, oh, there's still some learning that needs to take place in order for them to be effective in what it is that they want to do. So giving people these low risk situations can really enable them to learn without micromanaging them, so ensuring that they're able to move forward, learn, and do so in a safe environment. So I just really love that story because we can't control everything as parents, and the best leaders don't micromanage. I think most of us have been there in those environments where it's just absolutely awful. People don't, um, people like the leaders are just really controlling and they don't necessarily know how to let go while also enabling people to succeed. So just love that story. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Rebecca, and maybe some other examples of how women can use their mothering skills to lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the findings that kind of relates directly to that story is being in tune to the needs of others. So, this mother in the story, she realized that he was wanting to go out into the waves. He was wanting to kind of test his abilities or whatever, or just explore. And then, she wanted him to understand for himself what the consequences of going too far would be, or that he might get knocked over. And so just being in tune to what he would need in order to then make that decision for himself the next time is super important. And that's something that ends up kind of happening in the brain when you are a mother, when you become a mother, through the postpartum period and through pregnancy. So yeah, there are many examples and many skills. And so I wanted to kind of, I guess, go back a little bit to talk about this kind of conflicting narrative of motherhood, that there's, motherhood is peachy and like you're a super mom and you're amazing and motherhood is awesome. And then the flip side of that coin, that motherhood is just really hard. And I think that Instagram actually gives us a really good dose of both of those realities. You kind of have that like hashtag supermom and then hashtag, motherhood unplugged. And so everything kind of tends to, I guess, happen in with this backdrop of motherhood is beautiful, but it is hard. There are things that are hard. And when we talk about mom brain, this is kind of like one of the realities of what happens to the brain. We're looking at brain fog, memory loss, inability to concentrate, loss of focus, these types of things that are actually happening in the brain, that can really be quite disconcerting and really, make motherhood hard. But when we talk about what happens in the brain, like, why is that happening? And then what else is happening? That's really important, because I feel like the conversation up until maybe a few years ago was just very much that mothers need support, and that, sometimes they can't remember things. And, it's kind of this fluffy conversation about the difficulties, instead of focusing on what's going on that's positive. So I want to acknowledge the reality of the fact that motherhood is hard. It's raw. These are lived realities. I can relate to them. Today's conversation is very much so about the upside that is not usually spoken of in scientific terms. And so also, to be here today, I really hope that you will take home the message that you are already a better leader. You are already a good leader. There are some points or tips or tricks or things that you can leverage being a mom in the workplace, and we can talk about that. But please, I want you to take home just the knowledge and the confidence that you are a good leader. So I guess I don't know. Do you want me to go through some of the structural changes and kind of skills that moms get through this incredible change in the brain through motherhood?
Yeah, I believe that's really, really valuable. So I do want to highlight what
Yeah.
Brenda said. More and more, I see the workplace as
Hi, Brenda.
different groupings of parent-child relationships, and I can't help it, right? As a mother, we have a different perspective.
Mm,
As a mother and professional, I see it in the manager direct report relationship, colleague relationships, etc. So real. Yes, we have a very
yes.
different perspective. So thank you for sharing that. Um, and just that reality of, being a mom and having a different type of life experience than maybe other people who aren't parents can be a great strength. You're able to frame it differently than others would.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's go into some of like the limiting beliefs that we might have and what research might contradict those beliefs so
Mhm.
we can start reframing this as mothers.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I do think when you reference limiting beliefs, I think a lot of that can come from that lived experience, and it can also come from just stereotypes that are out there. I think the first study about the maternal function of the brain in humans was in 2002, where they observed just like structural changes in size. So it was this observational thing, like, oh, look, the brain is changing, pre-baby and postpartum, and how cool is that? I wonder what that means. And it was just observational. And then 2010, Pil-Young Kim, she's a neuroscientist. She was able to identify actually an increase in gray matter in certain areas of the brain that control planning and learning. Learning is essentially, adaptability, innovation, emotional regulation, and empathy, and increased nonverbal communication. So basically understanding baby's cues. And so when I think about all of those things that she noticed, the only thing that I can think of is that all of those things are so integral to leadership, and those are all soft skills too, right? So when we talk about soft skills, generally speaking, they're a little bit harder to measure. They're often devalued, and I want to kind of flip the script on that to say, soft skills and emotional intelligence, that can be valued, it can be compensated, it can be measured. And that conversation has been rolling and actually exploding in the past few years, especially since the pandemic. This idea that soft skills are this massive value add, and there's actually a global skills gap for soft skills, and it's needed. Employers are now actually putting that on the job description, a lot more descriptors that are soft skills descriptors. They need this. It's a value add to the workplace. And so it is something that traditionally has been kind of devalued and kind of put aside as like part of a personality or charisma or these types of things that are really hard to measure. But this is now becoming a conversation where, like, no, you can be compensated for these because it's a skill that you bring to the table.
Yes.
And it's valuable.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love what Shilpashri said. Like, mentorship, very much a soft skill. Like, it's a great example of, like you said, it borders on being a mother sometimes. And, you can be professional and be mentoring someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be directly like you're parenting a person, but you're guiding them. And that's ultimately what parenting is. It's teaching skills to enable someone to be successful in the long term, no matter what stage your child is at, no matter what stage you're at. So that's a great example of how mothering can enable your colleagues to succeed.
Totally. Yeah, mentorship is a huge one. That's so true.
Thank you, Shauna, for being here as well. You said you're a little late, but you've arrived. No problem at all. Okay, let's go on to a couple other things. What have you noticed are other limiting beliefs that some clients of yours have that maybe limiting their ability to, perform well in an interview or in the workplace?
That's a good question. I think, just feeling that skills aren't sharp, feeling that there's not this, what's the word? I mean, upskilling is what would solve it, but I guess feeling as though their skills aren't relevant or up to date. And so there is a reality of, like, yes, there's upskilling, take a course, pick any course and make sure that you're upskilling towards the target role that you are after. And then there's also the conversation surrounding the skills that you hone and sharpen within motherhood, that you can actually talk about those on a resume, and those are actually really valuable when you can frame them toward the target role that you're after. So I think that just this limiting belief that, like, I have nothing employable, there's no skill that I can offer, or the skills I used to have, kind of speaking in the past tense, aren't really that valuable anymore. So yeah, I just really encourage women to see, like, look, this is what you offer because of caregiving. However many years and months that you took out of the paid workforce, just because what you were doing in an unpaid environment wasn't compensated, doesn't make it, irrelevant to the roles that you're after. So talking about that, and there is another neuroscientist who in 2016 kind of took the ball a little bit further and noticed reductions in gray matter. So this was, there's noticing kind of increase in gray matter in certain areas of the brain, and then reductions in other areas of the brain. And she called this synaptic pruning, or like fine tuning or reorganization of the brain. And there was this kind of speculation. I mean, there's not an exact, I guess, correlation or proof or whatever, but the speculation is that the reduction that women experience in kind of memory and brain fog and this kind of mom brain reality increases or allows for sharpening of what's called theory of mind. So there's an area of your brain that basically allows you to figure out what other people want and need, similar to what I was talking about with this mom who knew that her son needed to learn, and so then she was allowed or she was able to provide him that learning opportunity. And so that, I think, is huge too, understanding that some of these things that you're experiencing in motherhood that may be negative or that may be disconcerting, you can look at the other side and say, hey, well, my brain is actually sharpening in other areas. And most of those areas are EQ. Most of those areas are, again, like I say, emotional intelligence, soft skills, adaptability, all of those things that enable you to parent, but also to bring leadership qualities to the job that you're going for. And not everybody wants to be a leader. I like how you differentiated between, kind of informal leadership and then, leadership that's up at a different level, because I think that, there needs to be a distinction between that. Not everyone's going to be a CEO or a founder or like be in a management role.
Yeah, but you can still use your skills to influence the team, your coworkers, your manager, with the skills that you've learned as a parent. So I want to highlight what Brenda said: when women act in a way that exhibits more traditional female roles, like being really warm, motherly, then you're branded as office mom. So one of the things that you can do to combat this is, for example, what frequently happens in the workplace is women are asked to bring the cupcakes or get the food ready or for lunch or take notes, right?
Yep.
What you can suggest is, I would love it if we could rotate those responsibilities. So then you're not doing the traditional type of actions that are stereotypically female. And so when you do that, then there's more of equality among everyone on the team, no matter how many gender ratio there might be. Just having it like rotated by alphabetical order, something that's completely irrelevant to gender, or who might be in meetings, because sometimes you have cross-functional meetings. So that's one of the things that you can do. There's also lots of mannerisms that I learned were sabotaging my ability to communicate authority. And one of the things that I see women do a lot is the wrist bend. You'll see, like, if you watch I Love Lucy, or if you're a Marvel fan and you watched Vision, the WandaVision, that's what it is. And she's mimicking these different people throughout different, like, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like all of these different type of television shows that were stereotypical for the time. And during the 50s and 60s, it was like this hand. And it's because you're picking things up. You're always ready to be cleaning and organizing and tidying. So we're conditioned to do this a lot around the house. So just think about what your body language might be communicating. There's lots of other nonverbal cues that you might be giving off. Just make sure, like, you're sitting up straight every time. You're standing up straight to communicate confidence. I was conditioned as a child, because my mother was very subordinate. My father was highly aggressive, to shrink yourself when a man was talking, or let people interrupt you. Those types of things, they're just so prevalent, and we're conditioned from childhood to act in certain ways. So if you're not sure what might be limiting your ability to progress, or you're not sure how people might be perceiving you, or like you're stagnant and like you're getting feedback and you're just not sure how to interpret it, then talk to me. I'd love to give you feedback on just like simple things that you can start doing remotely or in person to communicate more authority. It can make a big difference. That was kind of a tangent, but I just
That's
wanted to
awesome.
mention it because of the comments that we've been
Yeah,
getting. So wanted
yeah.
to make sure it was as relevant for our audience as possible. And yes, Ronke, mom brain is so real. I had PTSD after giving birth,
Mhm.
and it was like so much worse because with PTSD, like your memory is really bad, and excuse me, processing information. So it's
Mhm.
like this whole other level. But my
Yeah,
sister has 5 kids, and she always talks about like during pregnancy and afterwards, the mom brain is just like over and over and over again. But there's strength to it, like
mhm,
you said as
mhm.
well. How our brain is changing. It's not a deficit always.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other research or principles that you want to talk about? I know we have lots of notes that we're using right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. I was gonna say to Brenda, there was a LinkedIn Live from the Female Quotient yesterday that was talking also about what you brought up with kind of like unpaid labor or like the work mom kind of idea. So check it out because there was a ton of stuff in there that was really valuable too. I was gonna say also, again, a lot of the restructuring the brain, are soft skills and emotion, aligned with emotional intelligence. And EQ is really strongly correlated to job performance and job satisfaction, which also, speaks to employee retention. So speaking, to businesses, creating this pipeline of mom talent is going to do a massive favor to your business too. Like there's a lot of women there who are wanting to make impact. They want to show up and, you know, provide all of the skills and talent that they have to offer. And so when they're valued for what they bring to the table in terms of the soft skills like collaboration and adaptability and, being in tune to the needs of others, communication, kind of having this heightened awareness of nonverbal communication, all of these things, when that is valued, then there's just, a lot of job satisfaction and people stay when they're valued. So if there's a value that can be placed on the skills that actually are compensatable and that actually do provide immense value to a company, then there will be this upside of employee retention and, better company culture too. So I wanted to point that out as well.
Yeah, it's important that companies, leaders are recognizing these strengths.
Yeah.
The conversation has to be, um, had in the leadership teams so change can happen at a higher level and parents are supported. It's so essential.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I don't have any other thoughts necessarily. I feel like we've gone through a lot of the notes that we had and the research that's behind all of this. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. There is a little bit of a delay, but I'd love for you to, tell us how people can work with you if they're a mother wanting to return to the paid workforce. They've been, just on maternity leave, parental leave, or, been out of the workforce for much longer and for years. What are the things that you offer that can help people?
Excellent. Yes. So definitely give me a follow on LinkedIn if you are not following already. I do offer a lot of just, tips, tricks, and content and ideas and inspiration and, confidence boosting there. In terms of getting in touch with me, my email address is hello@joybeforework.com. So you can fire me a question at any time. I'm happy to answer. I also do, work with resumes. We do coaching for confidence building. I'm working on actually a reentry program at the moment. So this has been something that I've been working on for a while. Life has happened. So I meant to get it out into the world a while ago, but I've been working on it and it's going to be amazing. So just basically it's like a map of like how you would re-enter, what the best kind of structuring of re-entry is, which step might come before the other step, networking, looking into just kind of finding your why, finding your North Star as to what you're actually looking for. Personal branding is huge. I love to talk about that too, because I feel like that's something that once you can land on something that you're comfortable to embody, then you can really harness that in all of your job search documents and all of the actions that you take in your job search. And it really does give you kind of this purpose and it helps you to narrow down what your focus is and really, yeah, it's exciting. So anyways, lots of stuff that we can chat about, but definitely through email or connecting DM, through my DMs on LinkedIn is great. I'm not as active on Facebook and Instagram, but joybeforework.com is my website, and you can find my handles and everything there as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here with me. And if anyone is wanting to improve their communication, be seen as confident and competent, and stop any self-sabotaging behaviors that might be making you seem as less capable than you truly are, then I would love to talk to you. I also offer public speaking skills, so you can improve your confidence and be seen as the highly competent person you are on stage and in any boardroom or meeting. So I am so grateful we were able to do this, Rebecca. Thank you for joining me. And Dr. Brenda L., you asked about how you connect with others in the event. Feel free to look through the comments and connect with any of them. I will look and see if there is a way to share the attendee list and get back to you and comment on the thread so other people can connect as well. Thank you so much for everyone who is here. And again, Rebecca, thank you for joining me. This is such an important topic.
Thank you, Lori, and have a great day, everybody. I just clicked on the comment thing. I'm like, oh, now I can see all the comments. Anyways, thank you all. Thanks for everyone coming, and thank you, Lori, for hosting.
Yes, of course. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy the beautiful spring weather wherever you are.
Yes. Take care.